Hey there, my name is James Lee. Welcome to 5149, where I make videos about business, politics, and society. This week, I want to take a few minutes to bring up and discuss the double standard that I'm noticing between how the Democrats are handling Andrew Cuomo's sexual harassment allegations versus those made against Joe Biden last spring. Just to recap a little bit, there have been numerous sexual assault allegations made against Cuomo, ranging from the governor probing a former 25-year-old aide about her sex life and whether she had ever had sex with older men, to multiple instances of uncomfortable or inappropriate touching and kissing, to full-on reaching under an aide's blouse and groping her in a private encounter. Now compare this with allegations made against Joe Biden last year. Of course, we all know of Joe touching women and young girls in uncomfortable and inappropriate ways, but the most serious allegation came from a former staffer named Tara Reade, who accused Biden of assaulting her in a Capitol Hill building, where she said he held her against a wall, reached under her clothes, and digitally penetrated her without consent. To me, the allegations made against Biden last spring and against Cuomo right now are credible and serious enough to warrant significant consequences, but the response from the media and the political establishment have been very different. Last year with Biden, he did one televised interview about it, denied everything, and most people in the Democratic establishment and the media were like, yep, nothing to see here, move along now, folks. And now he's our president. And on the other hand, with Cuomo, at the time I'm recording this, both New York Senators Chuck Schumer and Kristen Gillibrand have called for Cuomo's resignation, along with nearly all New York House Democrats. And rightfully so, but where was all this last summer when Joe Biden was accused of sexual assault? Well, as it turns out, it all has to do with preserving power and maintaining the status quo. You see, in the case of Joe Biden last year, he was in the midst of a primary battle against his anti-establishment rival Bernie Sanders. And if the Democrats would have called for Biden to drop out then, Bernie would have almost certainly locked up the Democratic Party presidential nomination. After all, he did win the first three primary contests. They couldn't have that. It's well documented now, but the Democratic Party would have preferred to lose to Trump than win with Sanders, with many Democratic leaders privately admitting that they were willing to risk party damage to stop Bernie Sanders, which apparently includes downplaying sexual assault allegations. I mean, just compare the ridiculous narrative the New York Times took about Biden rationalizing why we should vote for him, even if he did all those horrible things to Tara Reade, with the narrative currently being pushed for Cuomo, which is that working for him is the worst place to be for some women. Because in the case of Cuomo, if he were to resign, another establishment insider, Lieutenant Governor Kathy Hochul, would be first in line to succeed Cuomo, with Politico describing her as someone who has worked harder at developing relations in every corner of the state than anybody else in New York politics in recent years. She's constantly on the road speaking at ribbon cuttings and charity galas. And that's how the establishment works. It's all about preserving power. Everything else is secondary. Even if they know right from wrong, political convenience will still be the driving force when it comes to action. I mean, this time around, Gillibrand and Schumer released a joint statement saying, due to multiple credible sexual harassment and misconduct allegations, it is clear that Governor Cuomo has lost the confidence of his governing partners and the people of New York. Governor Cuomo should resign. And flashback to last April, Gillibrand simply responded with, I support the vice president, and Schumer deemed Biden's denial of Tara Reade's assault allegation to be, quote unquote, sufficient. Totally night and day. But with something as serious as sexual assault, there shouldn't be any political calculation saying, oh, well, we can do the right thing here and get rid of this guy because the next person in line is still an establishment insider. Or on the flip side, oh, I know he's done some sketchy stuff, but come on, Bernie, Trump, we gotta move on, people. No, that to me is not good enough. So I'm gonna say this out loud. We cannot believe women only when it's politically convenient to do so. There's no room for hypocrisy here. These are real people with real stories and real pain. And that's the point I wanted to make this week. I didn't want to let this incident with Cuomo go by without pointing out that, for some reason, still, the seriousness of a sexual assault allegation against a prominent politician still has a lot to do with how politically convenient it is to prosecute it. A few people have pointed out this type of hypocrisy last spring, comparing the response between Tara Reade's Biden accusation with Christine Blasey Ford's accusation against Brett Kavanaugh. But in this case, it's Cuomo, so I didn't want to let the Democrats off the hook and say, look, no, we're fair. We did it to our own people too, when in reality, the response is still very much politically driven. And that's it for this week. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments section below. Also, be sure to like and share this video so we can spread this message. Lastly, don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already done so. My name is James Lee. Thank you so much for your time, and I'll see you next week.